Hello, all you soap fans. My name is Casey Hutchison from Daytime Indulgence, and today I have the absolute honor, privilege, and pleasure to interview Sean Kanan. Sean, how are you today?
Hi, Casey. Thanks so much for having me.
Alrighty, so let's just jump right in. My first question is, how did you get into acting, and when did that acting bug bite you?
I grew up in Newcastle, Pennsylvania, which is a pretty small city in western Pennsylvania, and I knew in my early teens that I wanted to get into acting. I actually started doing catalog modeling, and when I was about 15, I landed a commercial for a bank, which actually got me my SAG card. And at the time, I didn't realize how important that was, but later, when I actually moved out to Los Angeles and I had my SAG card, it made an enormous difference in my ability to secure further work. So I pretty much started when I was about 15 years old working professionally.
Who were some of your early influences in the entertainment industry?
Well, I mean, as far as comedy, definitely Eddie Murphy. And as far as acting, I was always a big fan of Paul Newman. What else? Who else? As I got a little older, I became a big fan of Robert Downey. Even after he did, Less Than Zero, which was in the mid '80s. So those are definitely some of my influences.
So now let's jump into General Hospital, where you played AJ Quartermain. So my first question is, how did you get your part on General Hospital?
Well, I'm actually cousin by marriage with Steve Burton, and I guess they were looking for someone to replace Gerald Hopkins, who was previously playing the role of AJ. And Steve said, you got to see my friend and cousin Sean. And Steve and I had a really uncanny physical resemblance. I mean, we really did look like brothers. And I was actually the only guy that day that screen tested, so I knew I needed to be pretty good, because if I didn't get it, it wasn't going to be that they liked somebody better. It was going to be that they just didn't like me. And fortunately, I was hired. It was about 1992, I think. And that began about a five and a half year run on General Hospital.
So through your run on General Hospital, you got to work with a lot of vets in the genre. Just to name a few: John Ingold, Jane Elliott, Leslie Charleston. What was it like for you to work with these people who had been doing soaps for decades?
Every medium that you work in acting has some different little tricks and some different little aspects to it. I mean, obviously, theater, the difference with that is that you need to project so that the people in the very back of the theater hear you, because you don't have microphones generally. Soaps are no different. There are certain things you have to learn about soaps, not the least of which is being able to digest and dissect voluminous amounts of material. And I was lucky that I was working with some of the best in the business, and they would help me. They would help me become aware of where the camera was, where I needed to be, where my light was. A lot of the technical aspects that as a young actor I simply hadn't been exposed to before, and I was able to pick up very quickly because I was working with people that had done this for in some cases decades, and they were very generous in helping.
So how did you come to the decision, if it was your decision, to first depart the show in the year of 1997?
You know what? It was just something I needed to do at that time. It was the right thing for me to do. I was, dealing with a lot of stuff that I needed to deal with, and that's pretty much all I want to say about that.
All right. So we'll go on to a couple years later, a lot of years later, actually. You got to return for the 50th anniversary of the show. What was that like for you to return to General Hospital?
I was extremely incredibly flattered that I was brought back for the big anniversary. There was a lot of publicity going on with the show. It was absolutely somewhat surreal to go back to a place where I sort of first cut my teeth and go back there and work with some of the same people. I'm very appreciative that I had that opportunity. I worked for about a year on the show, and then I was ready to leave. There were other things that I wanted to do. I think that the part had run its course, and I left, and after that, I proceeded to do 3 different films. Actually, one of the films is coming out in theaters tomorrow. They just had the premiere for it. It's a film called Gangsterland. I don't know if you want to get into that right now or later, but that's something I'd like to talk about.
Oh, of course. In fact, we'll get into it right after General Hospital. I've got one more question left about GH.
Terrific.
So AJ's big storyline, the storyline that kind of went with him through all the years, no matter who played him, was the story of him being an alcoholic. When you got to play alcoholism when it came to General Hospital, how did you prepare for that?
Well, I mean, AJ had been a character on the show for a while, so I was well aware of AJ's history. I think the biggest thing is that I was dealing with this kid who was initially not a bad kid. He was extremely misunderstood, made some bad choices, but he had a point of view and really just wanted to be loved. And so for me, that was the thing that I always pursued as agent. That this was a kid who just desperately wanted to be loved, and for one reason or another, either through mistakes that he made by himself or through a lot of the dynamics and politics in the Quartermain family, simply wasn't able to get out from under being the black sheep. And so that was sort of my overall governing direction in playing the character.
So now let's talk about that movie you mentioned. What is the movie about, and what role do you play in this movie?
So Gangsterland is a really cool film. It's set in the 1920s during the Al Capone era, and it is a story about the fight between the Irish gangs, led by a guy named Bugs Moran, which is played by Peter Fasinelli, who's a terrific actor. A lot of people might remember him as Carlisle in the Twilight series, and Al Capone. And in this film, Mel Gibson's son Milo plays Al Capone. The film also stars Jason Patrick and a lot of other people, Michael Pare, Jamie Lynn Sigler from The Sopranos. And I play a dirty Irish cop named Detective Boyle. And I only have a couple scenes in the movie, but it's a nice little part. And they had the premiere last night for 1,000 people, and it's gotten terrific reviews already from the Hollywood Reporter and some other publications. And I guess it's opening in select theaters across the country. So it's a terrific opportunity for anyone who wants to see me in a very, very different light in a film that I think they'd really enjoy. It's got a lot of action. It's got a lot of shoot 'em up stuff. It's a great period piece. Really good story. So I hope that people will go and see it.
Well, I love a good period piece movie, so I will definitely have to stop by the theater and go and see it.
Terrific.
So now let's jump back into your soap career. The next role for you that came after General Hospital was Sunset Beach, where you played the character Jude Kavanaugh. You kind of played this character towards the end of the series, just a couple of months before it ended. So did you know going into that show that the series was going to wrap up that year?
I didn't know it, but I learned it fairly quickly after I assumed the role. At that point, I was very happy to have the job. It was a fun part. But I realized, a couple months in that it was looking like we were on a bit of a sinking ship, which was unfortunate because it was a fun show. I really enjoyed working with Sarah Buxton, who I thought was terrific. She played the role of Annie. And that's also where I believe I first met Leslie Ann Down, who I would work with later on to Bold and Beautiful. So for me, it was a really good work experience. I just wish it would have lasted longer.
So you said you would have wished it lasted longer. If the show was still on today, how I wish it was, if it was still on today, and if they wanted to keep writing for you, would you want to stick with it if that was an option?
But I mean, that's such a hypothetical question. I mean, I think it would really depend on what other projects I was involved with, what else I was doing. But it was a lot of fun. It was fun for me at the end because there was this whole revelation that Jude Kavanaugh was in fact Special Agent Jude Kavanaugh. Yeah. I got that script and I was like, where is this coming from? Sort of threw that at me in classic soap opera form. I had no idea that was coming down the pike, but those kind of surprises are always really fun to play as an actor. And so, yeah, sure. I mean, I could see that it would have been a fun thing to have continued to do.
Even though you were there for a short time, do you keep in contact with anybody you got to act with from that show?
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't Adrienne Franz on that show?
Yes, she was. She played the first...
Yes, Adrienne and I worked together extensively on Bold and Beautiful.
Yes.
Leslie Ann Down and I worked extensively on Bold and Beautiful. Who else did I don't know that there was anyone else that I really kept in touch with on the show other than those two.
So now let's move on to The Bold and the Beautiful, and we'll also tie this into The Young and the Restless, since you played the same character on both shows. So I think daytime fans might best know you as Deacon Sharpe from those two shows. So how did you get the role of Deacon?
I got called in for an audition, and I read the executive producer, head writer Brad Bell's office. I wasn't reading for a character named Deacon Sharpe. I was reading some generic material that I think they used for auditions, and next thing I know, I was cast in what turned out to be one of the greatest roles I've ever had the opportunity to play.
So when you got the script and heard about the storyline where Deacon is going to get involved with the bottle, so to speak, were you like, okay, here we go, time to gear up to play another alcoholic? Or were you more like, this is a fun opportunity for me to do this again?
Well, I mean, I think it was probably a little bit of both. I mean, I felt that I did it hopefully very successfully with AJ. The challenge was, okay, this is my job. This is what I'm being asked to do. How do I do it in a way that is bringing a new perspective and some fresh, some fresh acting to something that I had done before? Obviously, they're two very different characters, but in certain ways, they actually have some emotional common denominators. I did the best I could to have a fresh take on it. I think I was able to discover some new stuff, which kept it fresh for me.
So through your years in the CBS soap world, you've gotten to work with some powerhouse, beautiful, stunning women. Just to name a few: Rena Sofer, Catherine Kelly Lang, Jennifer Finnegan. What was it like for you as an actor to work with these great group of women through the years?
It was great. I mean, they're all terrific actresses. They're all women that are very strong women. I'd like to think that they each elevated my acting in a different way. Rena and I had known each other for a long time. We initially met on General Hospital in about 1993, and later that year I produced a film called March, and Rena was the female lead opposite me. So we had a pretty extensive history of working together. So So I thought it was great. I mean, I've been really fortunate to work with some absolutely terrific actresses at CBS.
So, a story that started back in the early 2000s kind of carried on with the character of Deacon through all of his run thus far. And that was when Deacon slept with his girlfriend's mother, Brooke, and Brooke got pregnant.
His wife's mother.
Oh, yeah, his wife. I forgot you two were married. Yeah, I forgot you were married to Bridget. What was that story like for you to play as an actor, and how did it challenge you with that much emotion glued to one story?
It was great. I mean, I really felt like for one of the first times on the show that I was given the ball and allowed to carry it. It was great because I think each actress or character, Bridget and Brooke, each elicited something very different out of Deacon. You know, I think Bridget, although initially Deacon did some really horrible things to her, I think he really did love her in his own way and really was able to sort of find glimpses of being a moderately decent human being in the eyes of Bridget. With Brooke, I just think it was really carnal passion and forbidden fruit, and that was something that was extremely exciting, and, you know, Deacon just could not stay away from Brooke. And so it was great working with both of them frequently on the same day and, you know, being able to sort of access very different parts of the character's personality. So it really gave it a lot of dimension.
So a couple years ago, the character of Deacon, and you still playing him, crossed over to The Bold and the Beautiful sister soap, The Young and the Restless. And one of the stories you had there that stretched out for most of your run was having this relationship with the character of Nikki, and those characters even got drunk and got married. So what was only in daytime? So what was it like playing off of Melody Thomas Scott, and what did she bring to you as an actor? What was it like working with her, and what did she bring to you as an actor? How did she elevate your acting skills, if you feel as though she did?
She's a tremendous actress, and, you know, I mean, she is one of the bellwether actors on The Young and the Restless, and I remember telling myself that if I had the opportunity to work with her and Eric Brace, that I really had to take a second and sort of pinch myself and realize that I was working with the best of the best, and that now I was a part of that, and, you know, really to sort of, you know, realize that that was, you know, something to be proud of. She is just a terrific actress, and I think she and I did some really great stuff together. Yeah, that's kind of the long and the short of it.
So Deacon had kind of this sexy, fiery chemistry with Phyllis, played by Michelle Stafford at the time. So what was it like for you to work with Michelle Stafford?
You know, Michelle's a very, very strong actress. She's a very strong personality. She's a really, I think she's a spontaneous actress. You know, I always had to be on my toes. There's always sort of a glimmer of fun and sort of, you know, a little devil-may-care-ness in her eye. And so for me, that really, you know, every actor or actress you work with leads to creating somewhat of a new and undiscovered aspect of every scene. And so for her, I never knew it was coming. I always knew it was going to be interesting and volatile and good. And, you know, I loved working with her.
So we'll flash forward a couple years. You did the 50th of GH. AJ was unfortunately killed off again. And you returned to The Bold and the Beautiful. And of course, this was after Deacon broke up the whole Hope and Liam wedding.
Right.
So you get in this relationship, Deacon does, with Quinn, and it's hot, it's fiery, and then the tables are turned and it's no longer hot and fiery, and Quinn ends up pushing Deacon off a cliff. So
Yep.
when you heard about that, what was your reaction?
Well, I mean, I getting pushed off a cliff, or getting in a car accident in a coma, or getting marooned on a desert island is never an actor's first choice, because you generally figure it leads to your character being phased out. That's more or less what happened to me, although it did take a while. Look, being an actor is a very mercenary profession, and anytime you get a good run and then it goes away, you have to be thankful for the good run. And I've always hoped and felt that at some point they'll bring me back again on The Bold and Beautiful. I mean, Deacon is in jail, and I'm sure at some point, possibly because they've now hired a new hope, Deacon will make another appearance. But in the absence of that happening, I've got lots and lots of other stuff that I'm doing. Like I said, I've done 3 films this past year, I'm moving ahead. I'm doing all sorts of other stuff. So if I'm able to come back, if they want me to come back, we'll have to revisit it then. But I'm always thankful for the time that I get to spend on The Bold and Beautiful, because I love the people. I love I love the crew and the producers, and it's always a fantastic experience.
So my final question to hit on your CBS soaps is, fans got quite the shock earlier this year when they saw Sheila Carter return, Kimberlyn Brown return to The Bold and the Beautiful, and they thought that she was the one who shot a couple bullets at Quinn, but it turned out to be Deacon, and we were all kind of shocked by that. How did you keep that shocking secret under wraps, and what was it like for you to play this big reveal?
Look, it's my job to keep those things under wraps. I obviously have to respect the integrity of the show, which means respecting the secrecy of storyline. It's always good to be in a sort of whodunit mystery, that sort of thing. I mean, I was getting information every time I was getting a script, so it wasn't like I was privy to the big picture. Sometimes you're just simply playing what's given and put before you, and you just gotta kind of wait for the next script to do that one. So I wasn't really familiar with Sheila's character because I never really worked with her, but I knew she was a fan favorite. And, I'm happy that I had a chance to get to be in what was kind of a really sort of a fan favorite story. And at this point, I'm curious to see if anything will happen with Deacon, or if you've seen the last of him.
So now we'll move on to just a general pack of questions. These are our last couple questions before we wrap our interview up. So there are 4 soaps left on the air, and out of those 4, there's one you haven't been on, which is, of course, Days of Our Lives. So if Days of Our Lives wanted to create a new character for you, and they came to you with an offer, would you have any interest in playing a brand new soap character?
I think anytime you get to originate a character, that's exciting. I have to be honest. My first loyalty has been and will always continue to be The Bold and Beautiful. I was given a tremendous opportunity to play Deacon Sharpe, and I really love playing that character. But as an actor and someone that loves to work, I entertain any offer that comes my way. If that's something that ever happened, I would certainly give it a very serious look and see how it fits into what I'm doing and where I am at the moment.
So now let's talk the Daytime Emmys, which are soap's biggest night, as they're always marketed. Did you ever put yourself up in the prenom round? And if you haven't, why not?
Yes, I have. I've received pre-nominations before. To be really honest, I've submitted tapes before, and the tapes have been lost or unviewed, and it really just kind of, it's just not something I do anymore. I'll leave it at that. It's just not something I do. I always am supportive of my show when we're nominated, but it sort of lost its luster for me over the years. So I just don't engage myself in it.
So we'll move on from soaps now, and we'll kind of go into another topic of questioning, and that is you've become a strong advocate for anybody who is going through the issue, the topic of bullying. So what is it like for you to become a voice for those who are dealing with this horrific thing?
Well, I serve as the Young Man's Youth Ambassador for Buddha Bullying. And, Buddha Bullying is a fantastic organization. We actually go into schools, we hold forums where we talk to kids who are the bullies, we talk to kids who are being bullied, we talk to kids who are witness to bullying, we discuss cyberbullying, and it really is sort of being the tip of the spear and getting to really, get into the trenches with kids and talk about, this terrible epidemic. I'm really proud to do it. When I was a young kid, I was bullied. I later grew up and played an iconic bully in the Karate Kid franchise, and I really, really loved mentoring kids and working with kids about bullying. So it's one of the most fulfilling things that I've had the opportunity to do in my life.
And my final question to you to wrap up this interview is, what is your favorite part of living right now?
What is my favorite part of living right now?
Yes.
I would say that's easy. I would say it's being husband to my wife, Michelle.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Well, hey, it's always the love and the simplicity of a question that does it.
Right.
So our thanks to...
Thank you very much. I appreciate you thinking of me for an interview. It was a great interview, and it was a pleasure talking to you.
It was a pleasure to talking to you as well, and our thanks to Sean Kanan for deciding to come on and do this interview with us. It was lovely, and I hope you, of course, have a lovely rest of your day.
Thanks. Take care, Casey. All the best.
You as well. Bye.